What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10 and either build them or fix them depending on how they rank. Now today we begin talking about everyone's favorite subclass, the Way of the Four Elements Monk, the avatar itself. And so how powerful can we be when we take control of the four elements on top of the already amazing monk kit? Well, we're just gonna have to find out today. But before we do, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. As you can see, most people who watch the channel are not subscribed, so please don't be one of those people. Help us to reach our goal of 5,000 subs by the end of this year. I think we can do it, but I need your help to get there. And of course, one of the best ways to do that would be to share the video with your friends and click the bell so you're notified when new videos are uploaded. The Way of the Four Elements Monk is, of course, a very popular depiction of the monk following Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you haven't watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to do it. It's so good. And then they made this amazing movie about it. And so, you know, with the movie being as good as it is, maybe they made the subclass just as good as they made the movie. We'll just have to find out today as we jump into the ranking for this subclass. Starting off at level 3, we get Discipline of the Elements, and this is actually the only feature that we get through our entire subclass, which is kind of strange, but let's see what we've got here. This, of course, is Player's Handbook, so we'll just have to see if Wizards knew what they were doing when they first launched and just how well this one has aged. So with this, we get access to several things, and of course, these all cost key. We get Elemental Attunement, which we will talk about in just a second, and we get one other Elemental Discipline, and there is a list that we will talk about in a second. And we will, of course, get one other of these when we reach level 6, 11, and 17. So there is our scaling as we go. So whenever we learn a new discipline, of course, we can replace one of the old ones and we can learn a different one if we want to. So that gives us a little bit of versatility. When we go to cast these spells, of course, they fall under regular spell casting rules. And the way that this is kind of worked out is the key cost is going to be the level of the spell plus 1 is the number of key that it will cost. So Burning Hands is a first level spell, so it will cost 2 key points. These spells also can be upcast with the cost of additional key. So if you wanted to cast Burning Hands at 2nd level, you could spend 3 key points in order to do that. Now, there are some restrictions as far as how many key points you can spend in order to cast these spells. Between monks levels 5 and 8, the most you can spend is 3. Between levels 9 and 12, the most you can spend is 4. Between levels 13 and 16, the most you can spend is 5. And then 17 and up, the most you can spend is 6. So at most, you can do a 5th level spell or a spell that is upcast to 5th level. Now here on the screen is a list of just spells that you can cast. And of course, their respective key costs will be their base level plus 1, and then you can, of course, upcast them if they are low enough level to be able to be upcast and you are high enough level in Monk. Now, there are a few unique ones, though, as well that come with this. The first one, of course, is Elemental Attunement, like what we mentioned earlier. Essentially, Elemental Attunement is just fancy prestidigitation. It just allows you to do a couple of different things than prestidigitation, but it's mostly the same. And it just really applies more to elemental things rather than just generic interactions with the world. Now, of course, we do also have some unique ones that do come with this subclass, and the first is Fangs of the Fire Snake. Now, when we use our attack action, we can spend 1 key, and it causes these fiery tendrils to go around our fists. So our reach with our unarmed strikes is increased by 10 feet for that action and for the rest of the turn. So, of course, if we flurry of blows, anything like that, it all falls into that. And of course, we deal fire damage instead of bludgeoning damage. And if we spend an additional key point when the attack hits, we can deal 1d10 extra fire damage. Next is Fist of Unbroken Air. So we can spend 2 key points as an action and choose a creature within 30 feet of us. It must make a strength saving throw, or it takes 3d10 bludgeoning damage plus an extra 1d10 bludgeoning damage for each additional key point that we spend. We also then can push that creature up to 20 feet away and knock it prone. If it saves, then it takes half as much damage and you don't push it or knock it prone. Next is Shape of the Flowing River, and as an action you can spend 1 key point to choose an area of ice or water no larger than 30 feet on a side within 120 feet of you. You can then change that water into ice or the other way around. And you can also reshape ice to look however you want it to. You can raise or lower its elevation, you can make a trench, you can make walls, make pillars, all that good stuff. And so you can do some really interesting things. It's basically a better version of Shape Water. And so it just costs you a key in order to do that. So pretty neat. Finally, we get Water Whip. And so for a cost of 2 key points in our action, we can target a creature within 30 feet of us and it has to make a dex save. If it fails, it takes 3d10 bludgeoning damage plus an additional d10 for every key point that we spend above that. And we can either knock it prone or pull it up to 25 feet closer to us. On a successful save, it takes half as much damage and we do not pull it or knock it prone. So the way that this works is that we get that free little prestidigitation thing, and then we get one of these others that we want. And of course, there are several options to choose from here, and some of them are level locked, which of course you saw in the graphic earlier. And so we get quite a few options, pretty interesting things that we can do. However, there are some interesting interactions here that go on top of the good. So let's start with the good, right? The good is we have a magical monk that can cast quite a few different types of spells that can vary amongst different types of elements, right? We get the unique Fangs of the Fire Snake, which isn't too bad, honestly. We get things like Stone Skin, Hold Person, Cone of Cold, some really potent spells. However, the problem with this subclass is that, well, there are a few. Number 1, key cost. Key goes so fast with this subclass. You're spending 6 of your key points to cast a 5th level spell. So if you wanted to cast Cone of Cold with the Breath of Winter, then it costs you 6 key points. Whereas you look at other subclasses that can cast 5 key points to like go God mode, where this is just 1 action and 6 of them are gone. That's incredibly taxing, and those 6 key points could have been used to, I don't know, Flurry of Blows, to Stunning Strike, to do a bunch of other really interesting things that, I don't know, it just seems like spending this much key is just really, really not that great. The other issue that I have with this is just the lack of options that we actually get to have on any particular character. Obviously, this list is decently long, but the problem is you only get 4 of these for your entire career. Yeah, you can swap them out, but who cares? You only get 4. And even if you get double this at 8, that's still not that much by the time you reach level 17, right? By the time you reach level 17, if you're looking at something like the Eldritch Knight Fighter, if you're looking at something like the Arcane Trickster Rogue, they have more spells than that. And they're relying on better kits overall. I mean, look at the Arcane Trickster Rogue, which we haven't talked about on the channel yet. But I mean, you get Mage Hand Legerdemain, you get the amazing spells that you can have with all of that, which are somewhat restricted, but not that bad, plus a bunch of other features on top of your spells. So it's not just you have limited spell casting and that's it. That's what this is just limited spell casting and the monk kit. And so for that reason, it's really, really weak. So where do we rank this? I mean, there's only one feature to look at. So yeah, this is really, really bad. So I just really don't like this subclass, how it is. I love the flavor and I love the idea of being able to be the Avatar, the Last Airbender, all that good stuff. But this is not it. This is absolutely not it. We have no options. We get 4 throughout our entire career. And that's it. And it's not even that you can swap them out every time that you reach a new monk level. It's that it's only every time that you reach a new subclass feature level. So you only get to switch them out every few levels. And I mean, obviously there's a huge gap between 11 and 17 where you're locked in. And that's it. Whatever you chose at 11 is where you're at for pretty much the rest of your career. And so that's just incredibly stifling. Plus, you're burning all of your ki in order to try to do these cool things. And honestly, the damage isn't going to be worth it most of the time. You don't have any of these crazy spells that that are going to really be game changing. I mean, you don't have like Wall of Force, you don't have like Wind Wall, which didn't make any sense to me. I feel like Wind Wall should be a thing. There are just many other spells here that should have been a thing, and the cost should be less. And I don't know, just this whole thing is just bad, right? And so I was thinking, what should I even rank this? Because it's bad. And I thought about ranking it the same as the IMDb score, because I mean, that's not too bad. But honestly, I think the IMDb score is a little generous. I really think that score is a little too high. And so I'm going to rank this as a 3 out of 10. I just don't like this. I mean, the one feature and the subclass have to get the same ranking because that's literally it. So I'm not doing a separate thing. This is bad. This is really, really, really bad and needs a lot of work to clean it up. So what do you think? Was I too harsh on it? I really don't think that I was. I think that this subclass is just really, really bad. But let me know down in the comments below. Later this week, we are going to be attempting to fix this thing. I don't know if we can, but we're gonna try to and see just what we can do to make this better. I love the flavor. I think it deserves a good counterpart, but the way that it's written currently is just not good. So make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss that video later this week. Make sure you click the bell so you're notified when it goes live. And of course, until next time, stay safe out there, stay healthy. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.